Hi, this is the Winchester 9422. They made these, I think, in the 80s to around 2000, mid 2000, somewhere in there. Not a particularly rare rifle. I think there was about 800,000 or more made. This one, probably a little earlier model. Don't have any checkering. It's not the XT brand. It's just your regular run-of-the-mill 9422. I have usual marbles rear tang sight. I ought to take stock in this company. I own so many of them. That's just the way I like it. I'm not really wild about the receiver sight. I just don't think they look right on a lever gun. The rear sight's removed. I still have the rear sight for it, but on this one I just left the gold bead up front. It works for me. So the things I like about the 9422 mainly is very accurate. I mean, for lever gun, I would say it is top tier as far as accuracy goes. And another thing I really do like about this lever action is controlled feed. So what that means is when you run the action on these rifles, it grabs the 22 out of there and it controls it the whole way up in there, rather than just like on a ramp or something where it just shoves it in. So it's a lot of machining went into making these rifles. They're heavy. I mean, they're good, solid steel. They did make a longer version. I'd love to have it, but this is their carbine version. More probably what everybody wanted at the time. It's a short rifle. For me, shooting silhouettes or lever action silhouettes, I find it just a little barrel light. I like to, when I'm shooting, I like to hang the barrel out there. And this one is just a little bit more wobbly for me because I just don't have the weight out front. But that's just me. I mean, other people react to it differently. It doesn't have a rebounding hammer like a Marlin would. And, I've never had a misfire. It always ejects. It always extracts. There's never been any issues. They were made well. Absolutely, 100% seems to be foolproof as far as I've ever shot it. And I would imagine this rifle wouldn't have been made maybe late 80s, 90s. I didn't look at the serial number, but just judging by the overall condition of it. And it's not checkered. It's not the later models, but a very nice rifle. And I have shot it at the silhouette range. Again, I mean, I have no problem hitting targets, don't get me wrong. The thing of it is, to me, it just didn't hold as well as the Marlin 39. And if you didn't see my video on the Marlin 39A, you can go back to in one of my lists, you'll see that video there. And it kind of explains why, why I have this rifle to begin with. I bought this rifle to kind of fill in the gap while my 39A was at Remington, of all places, getting fixed. So I bought this rifle years ago, used. And at the time, everything was kind of reasonably priced. I think I have it written in my book what I paid. It's like $350 or something. These guns, and it wasn't that long ago, these guns were just relatively priced accordingly. And now, I mean, I think it's tripled in price. I don't really look at it all the time. I don't know if they're selling them for that price, but I mean, they have these things listed for $900, $700, $900. It's crazy. But, maybe I'm crazy and I don't know, but I have it. It's the wood's fairly nice on it. It's good walnut stock. It's good steel. It shoots good. I don't really have any exciting stories about the 9422 to tell you. It's just always worked well for me. I've never hunted with it. No, I never hunted with it, so it was more or less just kind of a fill-in. And then if I took my son or another shooter, and I would have an extra lever action for them to shoot. My grandkids, now I don't know whether they've shot this. They've shot the 39, and I have a M&P 1522. They love shooting that thing. And this one I don't think that they've shot. They might have shot this at one time, but if they, I don't think they understood the peep sight thing. So yeah, something like that. But they were young, and so there's really not even that. So right now it just kind of hangs out in my cupboard, and hoping that when my grandkids get older, that one of them will want one of these, and by then they'll be so expensive that they wouldn't want one. So maybe I'll have one for them if one of them gets into it. So I mean, you gotta feel it to believe how buttery smooth these actions are compared to anything. It's just unbelievably good. I would imagine today's, if they were making them today, they would just simply be out of price, because the level of tolerances that you have to make something as butter smooth as this and in work is just, it's mind-boggling to me. But hey, that's just me. But here it is. It's the Winchester 9422. I know they made these in magnums. Not really interested in the magnum thing. Ammunition. I'm kind of cheap when it comes to that kind of thing. I shoot a lot of cast bullets because I'm cheap, and I like to shoot a lot. So even though I've got a lot of reloading equipment over the years, and I know there's an expense to that, the idea is that now that everything's been paid for years and years and years, I can reload fairly cheap, and even without the automatic loaders. And if you look behind me, you can see I have an old Lyman Spar-T. I've had that since I was 14 years old. I still have it, and I still load sorted cartridges on that. I have the automatic loaders basically because the ammunition they're set up for, I shoot a lot of. And this one over here, 45 long Colt, 357 Magnum. Not too many rifle cartridges I load on that. I usually have a single RCBS press over here, but this one, wad cutters only. So that's kind of the deal there. But the Winchester 9422, a really nice rifle. If you have one, you know what I mean. If you don't, you'd probably like to have one because they're just that good. So, hey, thanks for watching my video. If you'd like to subscribe, you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment. I'm just now starting to do these videos because I live in Pennsylvania, and other than shovel snow, and I try to get the neighbors, I have a little plow, and I try to get the neighbors all plowed out and whole front walk and all of that. So other than that hobby, this is my other hobby, is to reload. And I figured, well, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and a lot of the YouTube guys out there. I mean, I don't have necessarily do the shooting yet. I don't really have the camera equipment for it, but I might. It depends. If this goes okay and people really care about these older rifles that I have, I'd be more than glad to take you out to shooting range and show you how they shoot. You're not going to see these perfect groups and one-holers, because everything I shoot for the most part's offhand, and it's pretty exciting stuff to just kind of measure yourself against a rifle, and that's just kind of how we do it. It's kind of how I was taught to do it. So that's the kind of shooting I do, if you're interested in that. And I do shoot a lot of metal, steel targets at competitions, and occasionally I'll shoot just steel targets that that are at the 100-yard range or whatever, 50-yard range, that are just kind of made. But for the most part, when I shoot offhand, I want to see and gauge where I'm making the shot and if I've pulled the rifle, and I want to be able to call my shot. If you're shooting at a 6-inch or a 6-inch, a lot of these plates I see these guys shooting at 100 yards, 8-inch plates. There's no way in the world I'm going to miss an 8-inch plate at 100 yards with this. I mean, it's not that hard to shoot whatever you might think. We shoot maybe 4-inch plates, and it's hard to see where you've pulled. So when I shoot on paper at 100 yards or 50 yards with these rifles, I should be able to tell you if I pulled left, if I pulled right, if my follow through is there, if I'm going to hit, where I'm going to hit in the bullseye. And that's part of the silhouette game, knowing how everything works, and knowing your rifle, and knowing where you're going to break the shot, and where that front sight is when you do. So that's kind of something, if you're interested in something like that. I might just go ahead and invest in a camera and set it up out there. I'm not worried about hitting my camera. I don't think I'll let anybody else shoot at it, but I think I can keep them on paper in a bullseye pretty good offhand. And like I said, the reason I shoot at paper, and I know a lot of guys like the reactive targets where you're hearing clink and clank, and that's all good and well. I like doing it too. Shooting the cans and that. Reactive targets are fun. The paper targets are more of a lesson in follow through, right? So that's kind of what I do. I mean, that Hickok 45 does that kind of thing. He shoots at fairly big targets. I know what he's shooting at. I shoot at those. I've been shooting at those targets since the 80s. Those are full-size animals. Some of those animals are 500-meter targets, like the rams and that. So I don't know how big his. There's nothing against Hickok 45. I love watching the guy's videos, but you got to understand these are half-size targets that you're shooting offhand and that, and I'm sure he's quite capable of doing that. Don't take that the wrong way, but a lot of his targets are full-size animals, and the chickens on that range are meant to be shot at 200 yards with bolt-action rifles, and the pigs that he's shooting at are meant for 300 yards or 330 yards. It's out there. The turkeys, 400 meters or 440 yards, and the rams, there's guys out there picking those off, and these are scope bolt-action rifles. They're picking those off offhand at 500 meters or 550 yards. It's a long shot, and these guys they'll amaze you, when you watch them shoot the silhouette class. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and that's my video. So like and subscribe, and let me know what you think. Tell me if you think I'm full of crap or whatever you want. Leave a comment. I appreciate it. Thanks.